Hi class, here I am to giving you some details about your upcoming assignment, which is your informative interview assignment. And oh gosh, another call coming in, I'll take it later. So this is, I'm going to share the interview slide with you. Okay, here we go. All right. This has also been added on Blackboard and you should be able to look at it. So here we go. All right, here we go. All right, so this is your informative interview presentation, which is coming up on March 29th, Tuesday. So here are some pointers. So this informative interview is about 9 points in total. And the first section is something that you are working on and you should be working on and presenting on March 29th, which is Tuesday. So it has preparation, which is 2 points, and then it has interview questions, which is about 5 points. So you'll be doing this on as a 5-minute presentation on March 29th, Tuesday. And there is a second lead to this one. This, after your interview is over, you need to provide a self-reflective appraisal of the interview. All right. So that's about 2 points. And of course, the second part of the assignment needs to be done after your interview is over. So the timeline for that interview is, anytime between the end of March till I would say the May 4th is the latest. That's the day you have to finish your interview, because your self-reflective appraisal of the interview is due on May 5th, Thursday. Okay, so please know that I've given you quite a bit of time to do your interview. So get it done. And even though the deadline is on May 5th, which really pushed it far, but I would take a jump start on this one and get the interview done as soon as possible, because I'm sure by that time, by the time we get into May, that's when all your finals and everything is going to be, and you're going to be pretty stressed out. So just in terms of time management, I would probably do this earlier. Okay, so this is what I wanted to say, because you might have questions about the due date. So right now, what you're going to be focusing on is just the preparation and the interview questions. So I'm going to go slide by slide. I'm not going to do the next slide. I'll get to this one at the end. All right. So the first slide, what you need to do in your presentation on in our class on Tuesday is that in your first slide, you will have to provide guidelines. Something that we did in class. Remember, we talked about what are the things that you should be thinking about when you are looking for a good interviewee. So we did this in class. So I would like you to work on that even further and add to the list. And if you want to change things over, kind of revise it, edit it, you can put it here. So that's going to be your first slide. All right. The second slide is, let's go. Your second slide will be about, your search led to. So in the first slide, you talked about, what are the things that you will be looking out for when you will be searching your interviewee. And then you have to tell me about your ideal, who is the person who made it to the top. So who is this interview? Kind of give me a background about him or her, and then let me know, how did you find him or her? Through a family friend, through a LinkedIn connect, through an ex-employee, through a colleague, through a classmate, through the alumni center here, to the career center here, through any organization. However you found this interviewee, and then tell me what was your rationale? Why do you think he or she is the best candidate as an interviewee? So that's your second slide, okay? And then your third slide is before the informative interview happens, what research, like to know your interview very well, what research have you done in terms of understanding who your interviewee is, his or her background, the kind of work. Some of you mentioned about the best practices, some of the projects that the person has done, some accomplishment. What kind of research have you done to get to know your interview well? And what kind of research have you done about the organization or the industry? Remember, you have to ask questions. So you need to do your research on the interviewee, the organization, the trends, the industry, all of that. What kind of research did you do? So this is going to be a third slide. All right, your fifth slide is something that we did in class. So this should be fairly easy. Mention how you got his or her name. If you're doing a phone call, or even if through email, whatever is applicable for you. Emphasize that you're looking for a job information, not a job, which we talked about. And if you reach the person by phone, ask him or her what's a good time to talk, and then if a person not available, ask for a convenient time to set up a 20 to 30-minute appointment. And also, and I said there's some bonus points that you will get if you try to integrate a little bit about yourself, who you are. I mean, little, not the whole elevator pitch that you did, but a little bit, kind of trying to establish a connect between the interviewee and you in the first contact, during the first contact. Okay, so that's your fifth slide. And then okay, so then we are moving on to your sixth slide, which will where you need to do the Tiara method that we talked about. Basically, you prepare the interview questions with a framework in your mind, and the Tiara method, which is the trends, insights, advice, resources, and assignments. Okay, so you ask him questions that pertains to the Tiara method. Okay, so here we go. So this is going to be your sixth slide. Trends, big picture questions, state of the company, the organization, the industry, what's going on. Remember, every question that I see, it's just not going to be, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It needs to be layered. Okay, so you need to show that you are doing your research. So every question has to be preceded by some kind of research that you've done. Okay, so it has to be relatable. The question needs to give a good context to the interviewee. Okay, so you please ask open-ended questions where it's not a yes or a no answer. Kind of, the interview gets an opportunity to explain, and also preface your question. So before you ask the question, provide an example or preface your question with something that you're hearing about in the industry, or maybe something based on your personal experience, but every question should have a preface. Okay, so those are, have about 4 questions there, 3 to 4 questions. All right, then the 7th slide is about, as I mentioned to you, about insights, more of personal questions. Talk about his or her more in the personal success story, and as I told you, interviews often like to talk about the accomplishments. Who doesn't, right? And this is your chance to kind of establish a bond. And when the person starts opening up and starts talking about his or her success, then you kind of nicely, smoothly get into a transition. And the transition is the step, which is your 8th slide, which is the advice. You need to ask questions that will enable the interviewees to provide advice. Again, think about the kind of advice you would need. So again, every question should have a preface, a context. So when you're asking advice, the person should understand where you're coming from. Okay, so make sure your question does that. All right. And then your 9th slide is about, you need to ask your interviewee about what kind of research that he or she has done to be current in your job, in his or her job. Kind of also shows that, the kind of research that you have to do also shows that you're interested in learning about the craft. Okay, so there are about 4 questions there. And your 9th slide is, questions that you would like to ask the interviewer. I'm sorry, questions that you would like to ask the interviewee about the kind of assignments that you will get for the job. Okay, so what does a daily assignment look like? What kind of projects do you get to work on, or do you think, what kind of projects will I get to work on? Some questions that kind of focuses there. All right, so that's and the last slide is just your, just your final thoughts. So, so this is to be, it's going to be very condensed, packed questions. This is what I will do. This is my rubric here. So I'm really looking at, how in-depth and targeted research you've done of the industry, of the industry or organization, or the interviewee. Have you really followed, really closely observed, or some of the things that you need to observe in order to ask some good questions. Questions, again, you are prefacing each question with examples, trends, personal success. The preface that I'm talking about, it could be a personal success, personal weakness, personal challenges, but every question needs to have a context. Questions needs to have, as I mentioned to you, it needs to be open-ended, and it needs to have context. Time for a presentation is about 5 minutes, which is not a whole lot. So, you have to be very well prepared and go through this. So you can use PowerPoint. Of course you can, but remember, PowerPoint, you're using it as a visual aid. Okay, which means that you are not looking at, it is an aid, it is not you. So you're not going to be looking at your PowerPoint and talking, you're going to have a conversation with your classmates. So whatever you can do in 5 minutes, you just try to do the best that you can in 5 minutes. So if you're not able to cover every slide, or that's fine, as long as you are able to, present a good story and you're able to cover most of it, that's fine. So so you 5 minutes that you have, you need to have strong eye contact, vocal modulation, presence on screen, in class, and body language. All right, just you're doing a presentation. So that's it, class. So so I'm going to post this to you and send you as an email as well. Thank you.